Now we're going to discuss the aviation sector. If you look on the website of the Nigerian Ministry of Aviation, you'll see that the vision is to be, quote, the best aviation industry in Africa and one of the best in the world. How close are we to achieving that? And to discuss that and so much more about the progress or otherwise made in the aviation sector, I have with me a honorable member, the chairman, the Senate Committee on Treaties and Agreements, and he's also the representative of the Koshofe Federal Constituency. Please, I want to welcome Honorable Dayo Bush to the show. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, aviation in Nigeria. It's an interesting year. We had two very, very popular events happening. One of them was an unfortunate plane crash, and the other one was funds misappropriation scandal that got really popular. And this is a sector that is set out to be the #1 in Africa. But we're not going to be talking about all that today. We're going to be talking about how people get treated when they want to fly. I remember I had an experience not too long ago. I had a flight. I was on a queue, very long queue at the MM1. And after standing on the queue for over an hour, they came to me and said I cannot fly the plane anymore because the plane is full. And said, why is the plane full? They said they changed the flight. And the one they've brought up now is a smaller flight. And so a lot of us who had already paid to be on that flight can't get on the flight. So many passengers have so many complaints. But now we're looking at this air passenger right bill. Is that going to change anything? But first, let's meet the man, Mr. Dayo Bush.
Thank you for having me. I would want to do a quick correction. You said the Senate Committee. It's actually the House Committee on Treaties and Agreements. It's a new committee of the House, considering the fact that the 7th Assembly inaugurated the committee. And the committee was born out of necessity as a result of how issues of treaties and agreements were being handled. And as a result of the constant breach of the Constitution of Section 12, which says that no treaty shall have the force of law until it has been domesticated by the National Assembly. It was pretty much interesting initially, considering the fact that I'm an architect.
Okay.
And it was a new area, but it's been very, very interesting. It's been very, very interesting. We've gotten the most especially with the support of a few people, the likes of Professor Oyebode, Professor Ikariale, Professor Uche Ofodile, and a whole lot of other people who've been extremely contributive in the area. Now we've gotten pretty much comfortable, and as a result of that, it's brought about some concerns, especially in the aviation sector, like you have mentioned. And you cited something now that's been that I have experienced over and over again.
Oh, really?
I fly twice a week, and like the saying goes, you cannot say you have experienced life until you have lived it. And we were able to come up with a bill tagged the Passengers' Rights Bill. We have tried to be proactive and also being reactive to certain happenings that, like you have experienced. There have been cases where I have been delayed for a period of 5-6 hours at the airport, either coming to Lagos or headed to Abuja. There have been cases where they've had to, I'd witnessed people paying for business class, and they get bumped to economy. I remember I'd bought an economy ticket. I wanted to purchase an economy ticket at a particular time, and we were told that there were only business class tickets available, so we were forced to buy that. And after about a 2 or 3 hour delay, we found ourselves on a plane that didn't even have any distinction between business and economy. Just to mention a few things.
So you just paid you just paid, they just took advantage of the fact that you needed to move.
Yes, and
Interesting.
quite a number of times we've seen this happen.
Okay, so with this air passenger rights bill,
Correct.
what's going to be happening? What are we going to see an end to, and what are we going to see a start to?
Okay, Nigeria is a signatory to the Montreal Convention, which is one of the numerous treaties that Nigeria has been a signatory to. And luckily, the Montreal Convention was domesticated in the 2006 Aviation Act.
Okay.
However, the convention stated, amongst other things, rights that passengers will have. But those just gave a guideline. But the guideline isn't enough. You can't, it hasn't been explicit. It's like coming up with a law to say you shouldn't do this. If there isn't some form of punishment, then there's no point in coming up with the law in the first place. And this brought about us working on the Passengers' Rights Bill to say, you know what, certain things shouldn't be allowed. If you damage my luggage, I should be compensated. If I am delayed, I should be compensated or given some alternative. For example, if I have a 12 o'clock meeting in Abuja or in any part of the country, and I board an 8 o'clock flight, and it's seeming that at 2 p.m. we're still not going to be taken off, I should be able to ask to say, listen, you know what, if you're not going to go, can you kindly bump me to another flight that's scheduled to go and have an arrangement? If you damage my luggage, I've seen people really being upset. People carry expensive luggage right now, Louis Vuitton and all sorts, and they're saying, listen, at the airport, a lady was going on about how she had paid about £3,000, and all they're saying is, sorry, there should be some form of compensation like in any other part of the world. And if we're saying that we want to be the best in Africa, which we definitely aren't at the moment, but it's okay. We're working towards it. We'll make our mistakes. We'll work on our mistakes. And eventually we'll get to the desired destination of being the best in Africa. But certain things have to be put in place before we can get there.
So this appears to be a very important bill.
Extremely.
For every single person who ever commutes by air.
Yes.
In Nigeria.
That's correct.
So where are we on the bill now? How far have we gone? What's the state of the bill at the moment?
The bill got heads up by practically all members of the House of Representatives present on the floor of the House that day. It scaled through the first reading, it scaled through the second reading. It's been committed to the Committee on Aviation to look into to conduct what you call the public hearing.
Oh, yes.
And I believe that should probably come up sometime with the first quarter of next year, of 2014. And then it comes back to the House for the consideration of the reports. But the next step we should be focusing right now is the public hearing, where all members it's an open house. You're allowed to come, to give the bill your support.
Oh, everybody is allowed to come.
Oh yes, that's why it's a public hearing. You're allowed to come if you wish to.
So how would we get the venue and know?
It's definitely going to be at the House of Representatives, and the rule of the House is it should be placed on the pages of public adverts on the pages of newspapers, for good coverage.
Okay.
It's worthy to note that there are some provisions of the Passengers' Rights Bill that is similarly a part of the policy of the NCAA.
Okay.
But it being a policy is different from being backed by legislation.
Yes.
Because then when your rights are infringed upon, you're allowed to go to court. Rather than say, well, it was a policy and it's no longer a policy. Now it will be legally binding on them. And then you're protected. We've had enough of this.
Oh yes.
This nonsense.
I'm thinking about the people watching right now, and they're saying this is a great bill if you can have it passed. But are there things that could limit it? Are there things that could stop this bill from getting passed?
I'd be amazed that. Let's start from the fact that it was only 2 members that had certain concerns when it was debated on. And this is something that affects everybody.
Yes, it does.
And it doesn't matter whether you're a member of the House of Representatives or you're in or out of government. It really doesn't matter. The fact of the matter is that when you decide to embark on a journey and you decide to go by air, to travel by air, it's for a particular purpose. And when you do that, parting, these things aren't cheap.
No.
And you want to get value for money, especially in cases where you go, you do international flights, whether African international or out of African international. You see how things are done and you wonder why these things can't be replicated in your country. And this is part of what the bill seeks to do.
Oh.